Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to give everyone a couple minutes to pop in and get their sound connected. Please, as a reminder, keep yourself muted as you are getting connected. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NACD's first Conservation Coffee. I am Ariel Rivers, NACD's Director of Membership Engagement, and I'll be hosting this quick chat today, during which we will hear from Angela Rosol about the National Conservation Foundation's Next Generation Leadership Institute, also known as NGLI. Before we get started today, I'd like to remind everyone to stay muted during the chat. And I'm multitasking, so if it looks like I'm not paying attention, it's because I'm letting people in as well as scripting here, so I apologize. So just as a reminder, please keep yourself muted during the chat, and that today's chat will also be recorded. After we hear from Angela, we'll have a couple minutes for questions and answers. You can type your question in the chat box and I'll read it out loud, or raise your hand and I will call on people in turn. I'd also like to point out a few important people who help guide NACD's membership services from the background. Joining us today, we have several members of NACD's District and Partner Relations Committee, the group who put these chats into action. If you sit on that committee and you have your camera on, please wave. Otherwise, if you're in a position to do so, please introduce yourself in the chat and where you're dialing in from. I'd also like to point out Aubrey Evans. Aubrey, are you with us today? There she is, waving to all of you. Oh, let's mute Kay here. All right. Aubrey is our Northern Plains region representative, and she also manages the NGLI program. So she is your first point of contact if you have any questions about the program we'll hear about today, including how to apply or to donate or sponsor the program. And with that, I'd like to introduce our star of the show today, Angela. She joins us from Bremer County, Iowa, where she has been farming hay and row crops as a first-generation farmer for over 12 years. She joined her local Soil and Water Conservation District Board over 8 years ago, and she also serves as the treasurer for the Conservation Districts of Iowa. I'll now turn it over to her to share more about her experience and NGLI. And I'll get the screen shared for you, and just let me know when you'd like me to advance there. Okay. Oh wait, am I sharing the right screen?
Yep, that looks right.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. It's been quite an experience for the last few months. I'm going to kind of walk you guys through my what we've done, my experiences, and maybe like a top 10 that I'd like to just share with board members that are listening, future members, and anybody interested in the program. You can go ahead and go to the next one. So it all starts with an application process. They accept applications for 2 months, and they can be nerve-wracking essay questions, but you do learn a lot about yourself and keeping it within the parameters. Sometimes you get to rambling and it all works out. And then you do the board reviews. So the board looks at all the applications and then they decide who gets selected for interviews. They want to try to get one from each region. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And then you get selected for that, and then you have a board interview. So when I first said, okay, I thought I'm going to interview with one person. I was going to interview with Aubrey or somebody from NACD. I had no idea it would be all the board members. But they are wonderful, amazing people that made this process amazing. And then you wait and wait for the selection phone call. And I probably cried a little bit when I got Aubrey's message. I missed the call, I was at work, and then I got it, and I probably cried tears of happiness. So it's an exciting phone call. Next one. So after you get selected, you are almost instantly recognized as being an NGLI cohort member. They wasted no time in getting it announced. I was already recognized at a regional meeting in January, even before our annual conference, and lots of congratulations and words of encouragement. So it made me feel Like this was an important program and that I was going to do wonderful things after I completed the program. Then we had a wonderful Zoom meeting where we met all of the great members in our 2023 cohort. I can't tell you how exciting that was. I wish we would have had hours and hours to talk to those guys, or to mingle on that. And then we talked about the expectations of the program, what we should expect at the next meeting, and how the program was going to be structured. Next one. And then we all got to meet in person in New Orleans. We learned about our leadership styles and why the program was created. We got to meet for the first time. It was the first time they'd ever met any of the NACD executive board. So past cohort members that could come up. We had to do impromptu introductions at the presidential board meeting at that evening. That was interesting to say the least. And then we always ended with what to expect with the next meeting, where the program was going. We never left not knowing what to expect. Even if it was a little chaos sometimes, we always knew what direction we were headed. The next one. And then we got to go to DC and West Virginia. This was a long, memorable, exciting experience. I could go on for days about things that happened on this trip. First, we started in DC. We were prepped to go and visit with our state representative and senators. We went over the farm bill, the talking papers. So we never went to a meeting not having information. Chris and Connor did a wonderful job of making sure that we either didn't go alone or we had what we needed. Our meetings on the Hill were kind of spaced out based on their availability. So sometimes we had 3 people in our meeting, sometimes we had all 7. It just kind of depended on where we could meet. We met the wonderful heads of some departments of the Farm Credit, NRCS, the Western Caucus, and even Ron from the EPA. These guys knew their stuff and they were willing to listen. They had so much information and they wanted you to share it and they wanted you to be successful and know the information. We can go to the next one. And then after all the politics was over in DC, we headed to Shepherdstown, West Virginia. If you have never been to this National Conservation Training Center, it is probably the most beautiful place you'll see over in that area. We had our days filled with speakers, great scenery, great conversation. We were able to meet with the communications director for Syngenta, Jenny Meyer. I'm sorry, I don't remember her business name, but she worked on personal connections and communications. And then we just had a full day of tours. The tours were a broad variety of organic farmers and sod farmers. And we saw some dam reconstructions. But the people that we saw, they were passionate about what they were doing. The college we went to had started a program there in aquaculture, and we're working with veterans, and they were using this ground that was given to them for amazing purposes. And I did get car sick, but when you're a flatlander from Iowa who has the flattest ground in Iowa, you can get sick with all those curves. And then we just, when we weren't in class, we were just, and there's kind of a schedule of what we did. I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is what the local board put together for us so that we had something nice and beautiful to look at and knew where we were going and what kind of time schedule you're on. So they really, truly appreciated us being there. When we were able to just sit and have conversations after our meetings for the day. There were some nice trails on the grounds. It was just perfect. And you could talk about things in a more neutral environment in the evenings and over a few beverages of your choice. We can go to the next one. And then we have had monthly Zoom meetings on months that we haven't gotten together. We met in May and June to talk about projects that we'd like to work on locally. And those are projects that if we see something that needs fixed or something that could be improved on in our local districts, kind of put together a plan of attack to get those in place. And then we were able to go to the NAC conference in Bismarck. Fortunately, there was 5 out of 7 members there. And that was awesome. We got to talk. We didn't have anything formal, but we were able to meet up and just run ideas past each other, see how they were coming on their projects and any ideas they had. And then we do have meetings. I think they're planned for September through January. Because fortunately we graduate in February. I don't say fortunately, we graduate in February and introduce the next cohort. I could do this for years. This is a wonderful program. Okay, go ahead with the next one. So my top 10 takeaways. One, the caliber of people that we met was incredible. We met the heads of departments. You normally wouldn't be able to do that. You might be able to, but overall, I mean, we met the people in charge. They're whispering in the president's ears or the senator's ears, and we wouldn't be able to do that without the relationships that NACD has provided for us. The number 2 was the support of the past cohort members. They were always open to answering questions and ideas that you have for the program. And it kind of made you feel like you were part of a special secret society that only a few people, important people, get to be part of. And I greatly appreciated that conversation with those former members. Next one. Number 3, you were recognized for your participation. It's a possible fast track to leadership roles within NACD or your state or local associations. So if you're looking for a great leader, and this is a good program to look at, for your competence in conservation leadership. You're looking to evaluate each project alone and realizing that every area in the world has different needs, but we all have similar issues and we all have similar goals. We all want everything to be beautiful and sustainable. And we just have to look at each problem and go at it maybe a different way in different locations. 5 is constantly evolving. Our roles are constantly evolving. We thought we knew it, and then we find out we didn't. Something changes. And I feel that this program helps to address that or teach you how to kind of go with the flow of the conservation needs in the areas. 6, information overload. It was a grateful experience. We had a lot of information thrown at us in a short amount of time. I know there's a happy balance between the first cohort, second cohort, third cohort, and I'm sure we will find it, but it was a lot to take in. So I'm glad I took a lot of notes, and I did have to go back and download before I could process everything. And I'm glad I took those notes, because going through and for this presentation, I am grateful for the information that I reread. 7, talk to everyone. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Questions make a great leader. In those higher positions, they do want to hear from you. I thought that I was a nobody when I went to the Hill to talk to people, but then I found out that they really do want to hear from you. You're the people that put them in office. You're the people that help them make the decisions, and they're just like you. They farm, they live in the city. They might be your neighbor. You don't know. So it was hard to start, but once we got to going, it was awesome. And then number 8, strengths and weaknesses. So this program is still growing. We're finding the right flow, and we'll work. It'll work its out. Might be some repositioning of events or meetings, or just having a cohort all type of meeting, but we will get there. The strengths and the strengths definitely outweigh the weaknesses, but that's how everything grows better, is we find the problem and we fix it, because that's what we were in this group for. Number 9, friendship. I've made lifelong friends with these guys. I can always ask questions. We sometimes it's just general life questions. We were all of different ages and backgrounds. None of us are the same. We've got a text message that started in New Orleans and will probably continue. And I believe the first cohort has still got their text message string going. I'm proud that I've met these people, and I can't wait to see them grow in their state, possibly national level, or any endeavors. And the storytelling, the history music, the jokes, the history lessons, the rodeo stories. I can't wait for my lifetime to hear all of these stories from these people and their children and their grandchildren and everybody they're involved in. And the final takeaway, you may have heard complaining, you may have heard great stories, you've heard a lot about this program. The program needs a little adjustments, the potentials are endless, but it is amazing. And NCF, NACD, and other organizations who are looking for great leaders, this is where you look. These people in this program are the future of conservation. It's going to help you in your, I'm an insurance agent. It's going to help me in my insurance world. If you're a farmer, it's going to help you make better decisions on your farm. And last but not least, my thank yous. This program couldn't be done without, there's a list of people here. The NCF, NACD, our state associations, our local districts who allowed us to miss meetings or, helped fund our travels, our sponsors, NCF sponsors, the speakers who took the time out of their day to meet with us, our families, the farmhands that had to take over while we were gone, the two amazing women in Iowa that believed in me a few years ago. I thank you so much. And to anyone else that's given support to this program, I thank you. And there we are. It was short and sweet, but I hope you guys truly got a feel of what we've gone through, what we've seen, who we've interacted with. It's only going to get better from here. So I really, really hope that if you know somebody who would make a great leader, they apply. Or if you have suggestions or would like to speak at a conservation coffee or at one of our meetings, at an NGLI meeting or a monthly Zoom meeting, please let us know. We're always looking to expand the program. And there we are with questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. So I'll ask if anyone does have any questions from Angela, feel free to put those in, or excuse me, for Angela, feel free to put those in the chat or raise your hand. While we're waiting for those questions, Aubrey, are you in a position to maybe give a couple bullet points on the eligibility, application timeline, et cetera, for this coming year's cohort?
Yeah, I sure can. So the eligibility right now is limited to district supervisors, just because we have a small group and we're trying to kind of reach the most people right now. Our application period this year is going to run from September 1st to the September 30th. So it's only going to be 1 month this year. We've shortened it up a little bit because that's about the only time we were getting applications anyway, was the last month. So if anybody knows of anyone or thinks that they are someone that would be good for this program or thinks that they could benefit from this experience, I'd love to chat with you and maybe help you get on your way.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Aubrey. And I put the link to NGLI in the chat box. It's also easily found by Googling NCF NGLI. And Aubrey, would you be able to put your contact information in the chat box as well for anyone that may want to reach out? All right, and I know we have at least 2 past NGLI individuals on the call, Terry Prieg-Rigsby from Oregon and Mark Masters from Georgia. So if either of you are in a position to say hello and maybe you're not top 10 because we don't have time for that, but top 1 piece of advice or happiness or joy that you want to share as a result of the program. If you don't pop off mute, I'm going to assume you are not in a position to share.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Ariel, it's Mark. Sorry, in the car and been on the road since Sunday at our part part of that time was at our Southeast NACD region meeting in Savannah. We had a great turnout there. And if anybody has talked to me at any NACD meeting, they know I always bring up NGLI at least once. And I know we've got at least 3 applications coming in come September 1st from the Southeast. So we're excited about that. I noticed when I got on the call a few minutes ago that it gave me the little warning that, hey, this is being recorded. And I was like, great. And I'm so glad, because I'm going to quit talking about NGLI and just put Angela's presentation on a loop. And so everywhere I go, I'm just going to, here, listen to this. That was fantastic, and really glad to hear the good stories coming out of your cohort. And, those friendships are going to be lifelong. As you mentioned, our text string is, going on, I don't know, 3 years or better. And, the content is great. The positions that being engaged in this will put you in, not just in DC, but, in your local district or state office, state level, are fantastic. But the connections to me are what make it. And because one of the themes that we talked about down here in the Southeast meeting was, the programs are great, the funding is great, and all this stuff is wonderful, but to do what we want to do, which is advocate for conservation and get it on the ground, it takes the folks. And, the thing I took from it was, better ways to connect with people, and not just the 7 in the cohort, but, all across the country. And really excited to hear that it's going well for your 2023 group, and really excited about the ones that are going to be involved in 2024, and assume that their stories are going to be just as good. So, Ariel, appreciate you giving me a second. I'm sorry I couldn't be on the video to see everything, but listen in and really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And I don't think he mentioned, so he's from the first class of NGLI, and he is now NACD's national level treasurer. So as Angela pointed out, there's an opportunity for the leaders to put themselves into the running process, the election process for higher level positions. Terry is our chair for the Pacific region representative, or Pacific region as well. And we have several executive board members who are past and NGLI members as well. So I'm going to read Terry's comment out loud really quickly, and then Monty will go over to you for your question. So Terry, again from Oregon, was in the second cohort. She said her top takeaway is that of relationship building, and that we can all learn leadership skills, and those skills can be applied across the board, locally, statewide, nationally, and even in our even at home with our families. And she wants to note that the second class's text string is also going strong. So I'd like to just emphasize, Monty, before we move over to you for your question, that part of the decision-making process in hosting these conservation coffees was also to provide more opportunities throughout the year for NACD's members and partners to come together and continue to build those networks and have opportunities to have conversations, much like the NGLI candidates have, or colleagues, participants have all noted as well. All right, Monty, over to you for your question.
Thank you very much. One comment and a question for Aubrey and a question for Angela. For those of you who don't know me, Monty Osterman, chairman of the Wisconsin State Association, coming to you from my shop, working in my shop today. So I'm laboring and sweating. So my first comment is that if there's one thing that I have recognized and that stands out from this program, is that the level of confidence boosting and confidence building that has occurred from the program. I've noticed it in several members, people that I interact with regularly, and just from the first, part of the relationships till now, the confidence that they have built and the knowledge that they've built from the program and the skills that it gives you to do that helps them to speak so passionately about the organization, the association, and conservation in general. So it's very worthy. It's well worth it, very much so. question for Aubrey. Can candidates have to be a member of a state association or the district has to be a member of NACD or both?
So we're asking that they have a current NACD membership.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the question for
Sorry to
Angela.
interrupt.
Go ahead,
This
Terry.
is Terry. But you can be from a local district. It's just that your local district needs to be an NACD member, correct?
Correct.
You don't have to be from your state association.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Now a question for Angela. Angela, and this might be kind of hard. In my experience, I've been involved with a lot of nonprofits, founding them, building them up, managing them. And I find that after a certain period of time, there's no such thing as a nonprofit, truly, anymore. Nonprofit status, can't be nonprofit. So you find that you have to run a business. As you move through the management ranks, as you get more and more involved in the business of the organization, you find that you're having to make those types of decisions. Do you feel that that NGLI has given you or could give you maybe more organizational leadership information or training, like building the business management component of the training, that part where you make those decisions, not only policy wise, but how to execute and implement,
I feel that they could, and like we got a few more meetings to go, but I do feel that we could learn more on how nonprofits do actually work. I volunteer for nonprofits, but I've never actually ran a nonprofit. It would be nice to know the structures and then where, like you said, sometimes nonprofits turn into businesses. It would be nice to find out where that happy medium is so that we know, oops, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, or we're losing our values, we're losing our message or our mission. And yeah, I do feel that would be a great asset to the program.
Thank you. You have answered my question perfectly. That's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
And
Monty.
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was so proud at the North Central meeting to know that you were jumping on board there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monty. And just as a quick note, several conservation districts nationally do have nonprofit status. And one of the things that we generally think about within the district and partner relations, as well as committees like the one that Monty is chair of, the outreach committee, is how we can generally increase capacity of the districts, regardless of their government status, of their nonprofit status, et cetera. What are some of the management tools that we at a national level can help support districts with? And one of them is, of course, helping to build excellent leaders like Angela, Mark, and Terry as they go through their own professional development. And as NACD's Director of Membership Engagement, I would like to obviously emphasize the point on NACD membership as well. Mark would love to hear this too. We're coming into the tail end of this fiscal year. So if you are representing a district, please make sure your dues have been paid for this fiscal year. If not, you know who to call. But I would also like to make a point that we do have a very defined membership structure, but we're willing to work with districts on what their budgets can allow in order to be a member of NACD. We never want finances to be a limiting factor in terms of a district being able to participate in certain programs or activities. So if that is a question, then please feel free to reach out. And Aubrey, correct me if I'm wrong, districts do not need to, they just need to be a member. There's no financial limitation on that. Okay,
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, so if you do come from a district and there is a question about someone potentially being or the district being a member and you have an excellent candidate for NGLI, please don't let membership status prevent them from applying. So with that said, we are right at the half hour. So we promised we would keep these chats short and sweet. And I want to thank Angela for our first ever presenter on our conservation coffee. And she also also gave a shout out if you would like to be a future presenter. We plan to do these bi-monthly, so please feel free to reach out to me at any point in time so that I can get you in the lineup. We'll keep these chats broad, so anything related to district, again, capacity building or leadership opportunities or district management, or something as simple as a project highlight or an idea that you would like to share with others at a national level. And we will record them and put them on our YouTube too, so that, as Mark said, he can play Angela in perpetuity about this program. All right, so with that said, thank you everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at future chats and future meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Great job, Angela.
Thank you.
Monty, while we're wrapping up, that is my cheese head on the wall. So if anyone was in Bismarck, they'll know that I make cheese, and Monty brought me a cheese hat.
Yep. Yeah, she's an honorary cheesehead now. Yep.
It's on my hat rack. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.